Sound level good? Wow.
Is this thing on?
Wow, he said it
The
live.
effects all the way up. Good morning. It's 9 o'clock on November 25th, 2024. I call the meeting of the Anchorage Advisory Committee to order. And the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Fenifer Rusk. But, I applied for the Anchorage Committee because I'm an avid voter. I care about the Back Bay. Over the years, I have spoken to many people who have lived here that have some concerns, and also, wanted to see me on this committee to maybe bring a different perspective to the Anchorage Committee. And so, and then of course I care about my community, I care about the Anchorage Committee, and I care about our waterways. So thank you to the town council who appointed me, or I think we needed people. I know that we need people on to step up in this community if they can, and be a part of the whole process of helping advise the town council on how to help our little island, Barrier Island. So thank you, and I hope I am an asset to this committee for my term.
Welcome. Thank you, Jennifer. Welcome. And absent today is Rebecca Weber. Okay, now is the time for the reorganization of the committee, where we will elect a chairman and a vice chairman. So I will open the nominations for the chairman. I would like to nominate Chris King for chairman. Would you be willing to?
Thank you, Sam, very much, and I would be willing, and I just want to say that the reason I would be willing is not because you haven't done a tremendous job and because you aren't a tremendous asset to this committee, because you have been for so many years. You're definitely a subject matter expert on boats, where I am not necessarily, but what I am good at is marketing and branding and running effective meetings and coming to an outcome. So I would accept the nomination. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other nominations for chairman of the Anchorage Advisory Committee? Seeing none, I close nominations. All in favor of Chris King being the new chairman, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. One more item of business for me before I switch chairs is we'll open nominations for vice chairman of the Anchorage Advisory Committee.
I'll nominate Sam Lurie.
I will second.
Okay, I will accept that nomination. Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? Seeing none, I'll close nominations. All in favor of Sam Lurie being vice chairman, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Time to switch chairs. Or we don't have to, we
Or
can.
we could just switch name tags.
We
No,
can
I
switch
guess
name
No, we
tags.
can't switch name tags, because then I'd be Sam Lurie. Never mind.
You could be Fenifer if you
I
wanted.
would be Fenifer. I'm waiting for my nickname, but, you'll just be the one namer, Fenifer. Okay, well, all right. I guess it's time for public comment. I do not see anyone here for public comment, so we will move along. Approval of the minutes is next. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from September 16th? I have not looked over the minutes, however, I was not here, so I wouldn't be able to have any,
Tell you if there's something
right,
wrong or not.
correct.
Oh, now you've looked them over.
Yeah. Yep, all right,
I'll move to approve them,
thank you, Ed.
approve the minutes.
Any second?
I second it.
Okay, so, motion to approve by Ed, second by John Wesley Nash, so, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Okay, minutes pass. All right, Frankie, I think you're up with your staff report, so what's going on?
Filling in for, I can't say filling in, I don't have the qualifications that Curtis has, but I'll try to do my best here. He could not be with us today, so we're gonna go over some of the things that we are doing in the mooring field. One of which, the first item is the dinghy dock, update. It's gonna be awarded at the next town council meeting on December 2nd, and so we're proceeding on those regards, hopefully to get that done rather quickly. Debris removal, so also going to council on December 2nd, to get with a hauler to come in and start taking some of the debris that we had from Helene and Milton and look at that. We have a 90-day window through the state, FDEM and FEMA, to be Cat A, to get some of this stuff picked up and have it 100% cost forward. I believe we have several contacts as far as debris companies to come in and take a look at that, so that'll be something that'll be bringing up before town council on December 2nd.
Frankie, is that debris removal unique or germane to the mooring field, or just that area, or what? Talk a little bit about what that is for.
Yeah, when we had, when I first got here almost 19 months ago, they were still doing Ian cleanup. And that was all done by FDEM. FDEM came in and took over what the town originally had set up. And so at that time, Crowder Gulf, who we currently have now, was not only doing all our street pickup, but they were also actively doing some barge pickup in the canals. Did they get it all? No. Their scope was very limited, stuff that they could see and grab and get away, like trees, things like that. We are all aware from being here now 19 months that we still have vehicles, whether it be boats, cars, whatever, in some of these canals. We have reached out to FDEM, we've reached out to DEP, we've reached out to our federal partners, and so far, no bites on the end of that hook as far as getting help here. So this is something that's gonna probably be exacerbated into a larger consort moving down the road as far as a program to not only dredge, but also get all the stuff out of these canals. What we're talking here is, again, doing anything that we can see, visibly see and grab. They're not doing a whole reach and program thing out of all canals. So this is just gonna be kind of a quick fix to make sure that they are somewhat navigable where they can be.
So this is not necessarily debris removal for the mooring field. This is really more focused on what's visible and sort of the low-hanging fruit for the canals.
That is correct, sir.
Got it.
Yes. The mooring field, the back bay, from our discussions with Curtis and with Chad, have really come through this last two storms fairly well. The way the storms have hit and the way the currents were in moving the debris, the north side of the bay really kind of took most of the debris. The stuff that was able to be picked up in the mooring field, our crews were out there and taking care of that.
Does the county, is it okay if I ask a question? Does the county have, say, over our canals and the back bay, I believe, over the cleanup, or is?
No, ma'am.
No,
No.
so it's just strictly the town that does the
Right,
canal
and
cleanup?
what's always kind of handcuffed us, when this was unincorporated and run by the county as a part of, not really kind of being on a shirt tail or unincorporated area, they never did any canal maintenance. So the canals were put in, they were never maintained.
Mhm.
So when Ian hit such a catastrophe as that, FEMA would be glad to step in and take care of it, but you have to show that you had ownership of it. Showing ownership means that you've maintained those canals, and we never had that. Little dredging projects, I think, in Laguna Shores and things like that, were more for navigability, but not for dredging as far as maintaining the depths and things like that. So to answer your question more directly, the back bay is protected under the state, and we share that with the county as far as where we go. Our jurisdiction goes roughly about 1,000 feet around our entire island.
So just real quick, so are we, depending on FDEP and,
We're depending on anybody that'll listen to us at this point. I mean, that's the problem. The state has, as you well know, a lot of issues with stuff up and down the west coast after Helene and Milton, and just trying to get somebody to sit down and hear our plea. We had some folks from FEMA come through last year, and we've shared this with the council. He was somebody out of District 4. They had us do side scan sonar. That's almost like Sally sells seashells by the seashore. And so we got a contractor in here to do that. We ran up and down all our canals, did depth readings, all that stuff, sent it up, and we haven't heard anything back from that.
Is any of that public knowledge?
As far as the scans that were
Yep,
done?
the scans and all the information on what the
I
debris
can-
is out there in the
I can look
canals?
into that, and if somebody is willing to, or would like that information, if it is available, I don't know if it is, they would have to reach out to the town clerk and do a records request.
So it's not made public for the voters and the
No.
communities to
No,
see
because
what's,
it wasn't it was just of, hey, this is what we've got, what we're showing. It wasn't a scientific study, not something that we could say that, oh, your canal shows that it's got 6 feet of sediment in it, when actually it might only, or it might have more or less. So it's not something to hang your hat on, it was just a real brief, somebody had a scanner, they put it on one of our boats, we went up and down the canals, got some rough information, and sent it up, just to show that we still had debris in these canals.
so are we looking from FDEP and Florida, Department of, Environmental, are we looking for assistance in funds and with their help to actually remove some of this debris, or what is it that the town is looking for?
Basically funds, I mean, we're talking a lot of money, I mean, we're talking in excess, probably in, north of $30 million to do our canal system. And get it down dredged, not only dredged, but also debris, so those are two different topics, but if you're gonna do one, you have to do both. You know, if we're gonna come in and just take off the surface stuff, that's great, but you're still leaving all that sedimentation that's been there ever since Ian, and probably before.
Now, losing, the FEMA discount, does that,
That has no
affect,
relevance
no
whatsoever,
relevance
no.
whatsoever?
Those are two different, totally separate items.
Okay.
Frankie, could I just ask, it says actually in our minutes that Mr. Schutz was gonna provide historical information regarding the canal maintenance projects? And I guess we haven't seen that yet. I'd still be interested
I
to,
can get with Chad and make sure that that's available for you
Okay.
before the next meeting.
perfect, yep,
Okay.
thank you.
But I know as far as the town has gone, I mean, the only relevance or remediation I know of is after Ian, when Crowder Gulf had went to a couple of these canal heads, like where they've come up to the end of the canal, and they were able to reach in and grab trees, parts of structures, those type of things, I know they did. I've physically seen it myself, you know, and watched them do that. They got a lot of stuff out of the canal heads. As far as the overall canal, no. And I know that since Curtis has been here, we've been kind of handcuffed as far as our boats situation and what we can get out into the canals. We finally got our code boat out a while ago, and they went up and down and looked for stuff, and they found floating docks over here on Tropical Shores, which they tied off, things like that we could hopefully get our public works crew close to grab and remove.
And to clarify what you're looking for from Chad, is it that we wanna understand over the time since the town has been incorporated, what has been
Right.
the agreement with town citizens
Yep.
about their canals? What we're sort of
I guess
have
what I'm
been
trying to
from the
get-
beginning of time?
Yeah, the end result that I'd like to see is the narrative that FEMA won't help us with these canals, with the dredging, because the town didn't do X, Y, and Z. I just wanna ensure that we are now doing X, Y, and Z. So if we have another event that bad,
So I
that we can
I
get,
can answer that really quickly. So we never had anything done before Ian as a town. Since Ian.
other than the lagoon.
Other than the lagoon, and that was very, very minor, and that does not consider as maintenance.
Well,
That consider as a construction
The
aspect
people
of
that
it.
live there, well, I believe jointly with the town, paid for that project, and actually had a project in the works when Ian hit. And all those people were given their money back, and the dredging still has not been performed.
Dredging right now is kind of like a dirty four-letter word.
Yes.
Only because if we did it for the people there,
Yeah.
we have to supply it for the entire island, and that's
Yeah.
where you start
Wow.
really getting into that really high dollar mark, and how and who, that's always the question mark. I can assure you, from Andy and I's standpoint, we were looking at state appropriations, state aid for that coming up in this legislature. We're looking at federal aid, above and beyond FEMA from different aspects. as far as FEMA's concerned, they're not gonna sniff it because of what I said before. You have to show proof of ownership, and what that means is maintenance.
Maintenance.
And,
So
and, and even though Laguna Shores did have a brief window of, they're considering that as construction related rather than maintenance related.
Okay,
Could there
So-
possibly be like a one-pager fact sheet, and maybe you
Yes,
guys already
ma'am.
have this
Yes,
of,
ma'am.
you know, here's the timeline of all of these things, here's the decisions that were made in the past, and going forward, here is the situation, and, you know, what we've tried, what we might be trying going forward, just to put it all in one
Sure.
place, so that we don't have to keep going back and forth and re-asking some
We
questions.
can definitely get that all to you before the next meeting, and, we'll have a timeline put together.
Yeah, that'd be great.
is the town's budget, is that approved for next year?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, it is.
Is there a line item in there for dredging?
I don't believe so, sir.
Okay.
Frankie, I was in the impression at some point, I thought from Chad, and may have misunderstood this with this side sonar thing you were just talking about, but I thought Chad was saying, had said that we were contracting with someone to do an assessment of the canals. Is that separate?
That is separate, so it's separate but connected, and just hear me out on this one. We were asked by the gentleman that came down from FEMA, he was a deputy director, in charge of a specific division within FEMA. This is all Ian related, and he was the one who said, get this information up to so-and-so in Atlanta, and they would run with it. So we contracted with a contractor to come in, do the side sonar. We developed a lay of the canals as far as what was in there and how we could approach getting it out. And that's where that part's at. As far as developing further, we did have, I think it was Coastal Engineering come in and do a survey of sediment. And again, those two really have to go hand in hand if we're gonna fix this problem. You know, it's one thing to go in and grab a palm tree that's in the middle of the canal. That's something we can do without asking anyone. It's another thing to come in and where we should have a 7.5 foot or 8 foot draw at the bottom of that canal, and we're currently at 4. That's a deeper issue.
That data from Coastal Engineering, I think that's what Jennifer was
As far
originally,
as that
is
stuff,
that available?
Yeah, we'll see what we
Or
have.
let me rephrase, is it sort of, is it user-friendly to the resident, or?
That I don't know.
Yeah,
That I
okay.
don't know. I mean, I know that Chad talked about, and we had meetings together about what the information said, and what our canal system looks like. But as far as looking at the raw data, I did not. But I can definitely see if it's available in form that where you could do that, and we'll definitely get that to you as well.
Yeah, I think that would be very helpful for the
Sure.
community, and
Sure.
also to help, maybe, you know, get a conversation open and maybe help, you know, FDEP and to come and help us a little bit more. If the community has it, the information, then maybe there's more conversation and we can get, other resources to help us.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think your point, Jim, was important, saying, you know, is this information that we would put out really consumable by the public? I mean, to make sure you set some context so that you don't just throw out some numbers and then everybody
Right,
freaks out because, oh my God, my canal's only this deep. Okay, here's what this really means. It's directionally correct, maybe not scientifically correct, but we're working on it.
Well,
Here's our path
you know,
forward.
there's another issue too, and I'm glad Jennifer is now on this committee because this dredging is also a major environmental issue. I mean, we used to have manatees that came into that lagoon and ate the seagrass in there, and all that seagrass has been covered now. So aside from the residents not being able to navigate to get to the Gulf, it's affecting, I mean, quality of life things for both humans and the environment.
We can definitely get to, whatever we have, we can definitely get that to you and share it.
Perfect.
While we're on debris, Frankie, that sunk boat near marker number 45, is there any update on that?
I think at the moment, no, sir.
Very dangerous, so I just keep bringing it up, and I know you're very aware of it though, right?
Is that the one that kind of disappears at high tide? and-
It's got like maybe 2 feet showing at high
Correct.
tide, barely, and there's no strobe light on it, I don't think.
No,
I haven't been
and
there at night.
I know the Coast Guard is made aware of it, and I know the Lee County Sheriff's Marine Unit is also made aware of it. So it's been put onto a navigable alert sheet, so any boaters through that area are aware that if they check the sheet, which most boaters do, then it is marked on there.
If it's gonna be much longer, maybe it's possible, probably a strobe light is not a good idea with everybody back there, but some kind of just minor solar, cheap solar light that goes on at night, just a white anchor style
So it
light.
looks like an anchor light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just any kind, they make them,
Yeah.
they're
full-time
just
rep.
anchor lights that are solar, just go ahead and tie it on there. If you can get close enough, it's kinda dangerous there. One more thing about Laguna Shores. I live back there, and last time that they did the dredging assessment for, actually, this is probably for Jim, they put it on the water bill rather than MSTBU, and it seemed like a lot of the residents were confused about why it would go on a water bill. If you didn't pay it, you get your water shut off. And a lot of people, I'm on automatic gas, so instead of $120 coming out one month, you know, everybody's expecting $120 to come out, and then all of a sudden $3,000 comes out of your bank account. So I wonder if you look at that again when they get ready to do that.
Yeah, the hope would be this committee would give some direction on how best to handle that. I think we kind of put that on hold a little bit to see if the town could find some broader funds that could help with Laguna Shores. If that can't happen and it needs to be done, then we'll have to kind of have a powwow amongst everybody involved to see whether, I think everybody agrees maybe the tax bill is a better place, but I assume everybody is. I remember back in those days, our previous town manager didn't do a good job of communicating how that was gonna be, billed to the residents in that area, so I think obviously better communication would be helpful too, and I think having it come through this committee and having us wrestle with it, and obviously with the town's input, but I think the town's prepared to work. I think we're all looking at going in that direction if we have to. Hopefully Frankie can work his magic and find the funds, but it's always a challenge.
And if not, if it's on the water bill, maybe a little more forewarning.
I
and a
think they
little
talked
clearer
about
education.
never doing the funding that way again. I mean, I believe that was.
Yeah, and I
talked
think
about.
if you did it on the property tax bill, it could be much longer term, and you could kind of spread those costs out. Yeah.
And
And
one
also-
other item on that Laguna Shores is, depending on the scope of the project, last time there were just roughly 100 property owners included. However, depending on the scope of the project, if they go all the way to Marina Towers with it, that will be almost 100, 60 people. So that would, if they go that route for the Marina Towers people to get out, maybe we could include them in on the assessment also.
Yeah, and I think that'll be all input from this committee as to how to.
Sam, I'd have to go
Yeah.
back and look, but I swear about 3 meetings ago, Mr. Chad spoke about a special taxing district.
Right, the MSTBU,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's a
and
property tax bill.
normally the way
Yeah.
it goes.
Yep.
so,
I'm sure you guys will look at it, Jim, when it comes up again.
Yeah, you have to make application with the county, and it's a process, but we'd obviously have to have all that sorted out, and that'll be approved. It would just has to be, everybody has to be on board. We gotta make sure everybody in the neighborhood, is comfortable with it, and that's with the desire of the neighborhood.
I think the water bill was a streamlined way to do it, that you could just.
was a way to
it was the only
expedite-
account to put through the town.
Well, and it was one big chunk to do it all at once, and,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe the town could front the funds, and then maybe the town could be repaid through a longer spreading those costs. Again, that'll be a great discussion for this committee at some point.
Thank you.
Other than that, we have an office update. We're in the old communications trailer that the town had prior to Ian. And it's in the second parking lot, not the one adjacent right to the old present dinghy dock. They're working out of there momentarily. Whether they're gonna stay there or move back into their spot, that's still being debated on how it can best serve the community. We like this a lot better than the containers. Obviously, not gonna get into that, but, we're pretty all well versed on containers on this island by now. So we just wanted to be good stewards and, good citizens ourselves. The trailer can be hooked up to one of our town pickup trucks and taken out of here, which it was during Helene and Milton. And they can work out of there. They have Wi-Fi, they have, air conditioning, heating, everything that they need to, operate a marine unit out.
And we're on the east side of Harbor House, is that?
That is correct, sir, yes.
well, it was moved before, prior to one of these storms, wasn't it?
Yeah, we bugged out, I believe, for Helene,
Okay,
and was brought up to the park and ride lot, and seemed to work really well, and I think they did the same thing for Milton as well.
So then, when they brought it back, they decided on this new location, or did that need to be moved because of
Well,
the dock?
they got rid of the container, I
Yeah.
think, prior to Helene, and then when they came back from Helene, the containers did not go back. They went
Okay.
right to the communications trailer.
Just the trailer, right?
Right, and we've had a
Okay.
few little quirks on getting it back up and running, cause it had sat for a little while, but it's all good and ready to go, so, we have Curtis and Bobby and Patty, currently working out of there.
One more question in regards to the fact that we lost our 25% discount with FEMA. Did the debris in our waterways have anything to do with the loss of that?
No, ma'am, you're talking two different issues, yes, ma'am.
Sir, can you give me a little more details on the dinghy dock? You said we made some progress here.
Yeah, I think they're ready to award it to a contractor, they've already selected the contractor, it's ready to be awarded, and it's gonna go in front of council on December 2nd, to get the
Okay.
final, award.
And the final location, we picked the location, and it being where?
I believe it's gonna go, close to where our current dinghy dock is,
Yeah, it was the same spot.
yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a picture of what they're gonna do?
Do we have a rendering or anything? Is that what you're asking, Ted?
Yeah,
I don't per se today, I think we will have something for the council to actually see, and at that time, we can share that as well, and get that up.
yeah, in the past, generally, these things we've seen before it moved that far forward, it might be nice in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. If possible, since you're gonna discuss it on the 2nd, if there is any rendering or anything, maybe you could get it just to this committee at
We
least.
we definitely.
And that way, if we
yeah.
have anything to say during that meeting, we can show up, or we can email.
And I can tell you that, with the changing of the meeting schedule, how it got pushed back and pushed forward and whatnot, a lot of that stuff kind of fell through the wayside, not trying to make an excuse, but, as far as, awarding the contract, that's something that we had to move, rather fast on for funding reasons and to get everything in by the end of the year. So that's kind of why that proceeded quicker than normally. I apologize for that.
Thank you.
Other than that, staffing goes, we have Curtis and Bobby. We're working on, two other people to help, both Curtis and Bobby. They're actively recruiting right now, and, I know we've had some, job opportunities scheduled, as far as interviewing and things like that coming up, but with the holiday, they kinda got thrown by the wayside a little bit. So I think next week is gonna be another active week for Curtis to re-engage with the interview process. Our pontoon boat
Wait,
update.
quick question on
Yes,
that,
ma'am.
Frankie.
I'm
So, we're supposed to have 4 people, right? And now we're
Yes, ma'am.
down to 2. How has that impacted the work and what needs to get done? And also, do you think that there are some reasons that we're having trouble filling these positions? I mean, in terms of, are there just good people out there to do this?
So, we are down to 2, so Curtis and Bobby have had to take the, pardon the expression, the yeoman's
Yeah.
work here and really kind of pitched in and helped out. We've been supplementing that with public works employees when we can, and also some of our neighborhood services and ranger employees on the weekends, to help, have 2 people on the boat when we do pump outs, those sort of things. We're not going to, belay safety in regards to what needs to be done. So as far as any of the larger maintenance on the mooring field itself, I've told Curtis that I wanted him to evaluate after the Thanksgiving holiday. If something looked like it needed to be done as far as a major cleaning of the mooring balls and whatnot, let's do an evaluation, we'll hire that out. I don't want staff, limited staff, and the liability to the town to take that on. I know in years past, they had done that, which is fine. I'm working with a crew that aren't certified divers. They're willing to be certified, but at what risk? And at what liability to the town? We have 65, 70 employees total. I don't wanna put 4 in jeopardy, by doing something that we could easily and efficiently hired out. So we're looking at that maintenance part. They are able to clean off a lot just based on what they have to work with, as far as pulling that chain up and cleaning off the chain and some of those things. So Curtis and Bobby have been actively doing that during the day, when they haven't been either trying to bug out for a hurricane or get back in place for a hurricane. As far as keeping the whole mooring field up to speed, I know they're actively coming up with some new ideas on how we can make that whole process more efficiently. Second part of your question, is the $64,000 question. We advertise, we have a competitive salary. We don't have any stringent or more stringent, qualifications than other places have. It's just the lack of people coming in. He had a lot of great ideas, and he's gonna really move us a lot farther down the road than I even anticipated for in year 3 and 4. So you'll see some of those, ideas come before you, I'm sure. But that's kind of where we sit.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
They're out of St. Petersburg or Tampa, and that's why I took my course years ago, but they are always trying to play.
Met numerous times with Talisa, our HR director, and they've gone through this in trying to vet different places to find candidates. Other than that, we're still looking for a home. We're like wandering through the desert for 40 years. We have some options coming up, and what I always like to tell our elected officials when we meet with them on a weekly basis is that through the development process and how we grow this island back with development is an opportunity for us to garner a lot of the things that we need. So you'll hear at regular town council meetings or at LPA meetings, they're always talking about public benefit. Well, what is a public benefit? Public benefit to us is a pump out station. Public benefit to us is a mooring field office where people can come in and it's a more uniform type place. We're always looking at a position when the town gets in that arena to have our own facility sometime where we could build them ourselves. Again, with the conditions that we have to build back by, it's gonna take a little bit of work both on the federal side and on our side to come to some kind of an agreement where and what we can do, and financially as well. So those are things that we're always weighing. Vice Mayor can tell you, we always try to have plans C, D, and E. So when we talk in public, we're usually talking about the things that you hear about, but we always like to have at least 4 or 5 other items that we're constantly working. You never know which one kind of falls into that peg the right way. But I know like one development here has been giving us pump out service for a long time and not batted an eye, not even raised an eyebrow. And that would be Pink Shell. Bill Schulis has been a great partner to us in that, in offering us that help. And that's helped us greatly. You can't even express how that's helped us greatly. We still have a service to provide to our mooring field and to some of the marinas as far as the pump out service. That was the grant that got us the boat and whatnot. And to have somebody like that willing to, here you go, use it anytime you wish, and not even bring it up into a discussion. That's a good partner moving forward. We've already talked to other developers that are putting in wet docks, and they have expressed that they would also be willing to put in a pump out station for us. So these are things that we use when you hear that word, that buzzword, public benefit. These are really public benefits because it's saving the town a heck of a lot of money, and it's being done right and not just knee-jerk type thing. So.
In light of the county just approving $2.5 million to design Bowditch and Newton Park, which I thought were already designed, we're just rebuilding them, but they approved it in a blink of an eye, $2.5 million for the drawings for that. I wonder, is there any potential that we would be included in that Bowditch, discussion?
The Bowditch and Newton?
Newton is ours.
Newton
is
is ours,
ours.
Bowditch
Well,
is
they
county.
just paid to design it,
I
didn't they?
think you were thinking about Bowditch and Crescent or
Yes.
Bowditch and
Okay.
Lynn Hall.
Lynn,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, okay.
But I think, this is something we've talked as a committee about with Bowditch, and Frankie has a unique perspective on that I think it would be helpful if Frankie shared. Yeah.
Let's just say that at this moment, there is no.
No potential at this
No, sir.
moment. Okay. Cause we had talked about it and
Yes,
we
the-
wanted to have it
their vision-
included
their
in the
vision
discussion.
and our vision are really not in the same hemisphere at this point, and we can't help them or hold them, to that either. I mean, they have to do what they have to do, we have to do what we have to do. Not to say that they haven't been a great partner, because they've been phenomenal with us. I don't know what the relationship was with the county before Andy and I got here. We have a fantastic relationship with them now, and we wanna see that burgeon and grow further. The plans for Bowditch was already in the works after Ian. They've already had their people or their staff make their recommendations. At the present time, there isn't really, I shouldn't say room, because there's always room, but there's not any plan for us to kind of sit there and collaborate on their plans. So we're just kind of moving forward what we already had, and that would be our dinghy dock, things like that, and trying to make what we have and what we can get in the near future, make it ours and do it the best we can.
Thanks, I just wanted to make sure that we exhausted that since it was a previous discussion.
If I could, Madam Chair, I think to Sam's point, that takes Bowditch off the table, but I wondered, Frankie, and I know some of these are sensitive conversations right now, so if you can't comment, you can't comment. But as we look at the upland facilities, there's obviously a potential development with the arches, and we've had the former owner of Matanzas offer to either build a facility or have us build I'm not sure exactly, I think I'd sent you his contact information. When we look at the uplands facilities as a town strategically, and I know you've got Plan A, B, C, are those two potential options, and are there other options, just so this committee has a sense as to what you're looking at potentially for uplands facilities?
Those two are major players in how we move forward. I have made contact and seen the email from the former owner of Matanzas, as far as what they wanted to do and briefly what they were proposing us to be involved with. Those things need to really be kind of, for lack of a better term, vetted out before they can be discussed. It's great to offer in public, hey, I'm gonna build a building and I can offer it to the town, at what cost and we're not in a position to buy a building. We're not in a position to rent to own. We're in we may be in a position to lease over a long period of time, but what is included in that lease? So these are all things that myself, and our legal team go through on a daily basis as we look forward, to some of these developments coming to fruition. As I said, some of them have their own idea on how they wanna operate, and I can't really fault them for that. That's their business model, and, you know, as far as marketing goes, again, you don't want that John boat parked out in front of your $1 million yacht, you know, and somebody coming in there with their waders on and something to go use the restroom or whatever. Not to say that the restrooms aren't public, because they are, but, I mean, as far as being offered to another group of people that they have nothing to do with. So those are always kind of delicate discussions, but we're always looking, and yes, we do have a few options up our sleeve.
Is the existing upland facility dynamic, is that functional for a while?
Yes, they had to do a little repair after Milton, as far as drywall, just like a lot of people in this town did, but I believe they're all up and going and doing just fine.
Okay.
And I would say, to add context, I mean, it is an expectation, if we want our mooring field operation to be viable, that there be some sort of upland facility for the boaters who are coming in. So
That is correct.
it's not a, no, we don't have to, it's we do, to
It is.
what degree, to what expense, and how do we keep everything, you know, on an even keel, so to speak, when you're talking about making things, you know, self-funding.
Yes, ma'am, we have the opportunity to make this a world-class mooring field. The foundation is there, the eagerness to come here is there. We know that from not only the people with storms, but during season, you could see the fluctuation in reservations, during the holiday weekends, and now moving into season where people are moving down from the north to the south to enjoy some a little bit warmer weather from the 40s to the 50s. But it's still one of those things where if we had some of this stuff available, it would even make us that much more presentable. And what a great place to come, right? I mean, our town is on the precipice of really bouncing back to a point where we were before with the restaurants, the nightlife, some of the events like the sand sculpting that was just here. So the more and more of this stuff comes, the more and more you're gonna start attracting these people. That gives us the idea of, okay, we see this happening, we see the trend, we really gotta start thinking long-term. And that's kinda what Andy and I and Curtis and council do on a weekly basis when we have our individual meetings, is we we do kind of come up and throw spitball ideas back and forth and see which ones kind of stick, pardon the phrase and reference. But we always have a plan up our sleeve, so to speak, on how we want to get there. It's just who's going to partner with us.
Frankie, and the new kid on the block, I know you touched base on the maintenance of the buoys, but, and maybe the members already know this question. How often are the buoys maintained, and is there a schedule? How is that, how does that work?
So they do it on a semi-annual basis, so at least twice a year they're going through and they have a boat that swings out to the channel, which they really don't. Let's go have a boat that swings out to the channel, which they really don't. Let's go smaller boats, right? You know, and just, we can put the bigger boats down farther. And so that's an ongoing discussion with Chad, discussion with Chad, Curtis, and the Coast Guard.
And that's balls 5 through 9, I believe.
I believe so, yes, sir.
5, 6, 7, 8, 5.
Well, I think on your list, Frankie, you were just gonna talk some boats, the
Yeah, some
pontoon
boats.
boat
We
and
got a-
missing boat.
We got
Which
the
one
new
got
motor-
stolen?
Well, I'll get to that one.
Is that ours? Oh.
Yes, it was.
Oh, boy.
So, our pontoon boat just got a repowered, a remanufactured 90-horse engine on it. I don't know how many of you have actually been on that pontoon boat, but we're all of the same age, pretty much. We remember the SS Minnow, from Gilligan's, from Gilligan's Island. That was probably a more reputable boat than what our pontoon boat is. So, you talk about unsafe structures, our building official should tag that pontoon boat. We are in discussions, Curtis, that was part of the gig to get them down here, was we're gonna do everything in our power, find every grant possible to get you newer boats to work with. And so that's already in the works. We kind of threw a fly in the ointment was one day we discovered he went to go hook up, and our code enforcement boat, of all boats, was taken, with big bright letters on the side, code enforcement. So somewhere around here is a 2016 Catalina skiff with a code enforcement lettering on the side. We are actively looking at getting a multi-purpose boat. Ones that would have like a crane type attachment so they could do work off of, one that's good enough to get down our canals, so it wouldn't be as big and cumbersome to do some of the canal maintenance, those type of things, and we could jointly use it for our code enforcement, which we're actively kind of a little bit not behind on, but one of those things where, you know, you can drive up and down the streets, you can look down the canal, but unless you're on the water, looking at the docks, looking at the back of the properties, you really don't have a good perspective on what's there. Luckily for us, we did a full island-wide sweep right before the boat was taken. We did a police report with Lee County Sheriff's Department. We have plate readers on and off the island. Somebody's seen it somewhere, and it's out there, but it's probably long gone and scrapped by now. But we're already in the works of getting a new boat. And we're probably gonna condense the fleet. We don't need to have the pontoon if we're gonna have a working boat / code boat too. And I'd prefer that anyway. We have the pump out boat, which was grant given, and it's a fairly new boat and fairly good, or really good shape. Now it gives us an opportunity to get another new boat into the fleet, and we can let that pontoon, which I believe they bought used off of Craigslist years ago anyway, so instead of throwing money after foolishness and redecking it and all that kind of stuff, I think it's just better to part ways.
And I think that's a great idea, if we could put some kind of just even lightweight davit on there for,
And that's what we're looking for, yes, just
And-
something that we could grab things with, whatever, even doing light maintenance on the balls themselves, you know, we pull the chains out to clean. Those,
yes.
that we could do with the davit.
Yeah, with a light davit, that would be,
Yes, sir.
be,
So that's kind of what
Multi-purpose.
Curtis already had that in mind, that's what he had up in Jacksonville on his tender boats, so that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So to call it a blessing in disguise, maybe not, but if you've ever been on any of those boats, it is a blessing in disguise.
What does a town do to promote and educate the mariners, the people that come to the marina? What sorts of things do you do to help educate the people that come to?
The people that come into the mooring field, So there is a note through DACWA, the service that we use for the rental, and it lists in there not only what the town has to offer, but also how to be a friendly neighbor, things, so we look at communication. If you have a problem, how to access the mooring field captain, those type of things. If you need facilities or help, it gives you that kind of information, just based on that. We also try to make contact with these people once they do make dockage in our field. I know Curtis is always out there saying, you know, good morning, good afternoon, whenever he sees them, and just try to point out just good housekeeping practices, those type of things. And let people know, again, where they're at. So they may have come from the East Coast, West Coast, whatever, not be familiar with our manatees that we have here, our dolphins that we have here, and it just kind of heads up, especially in the back bay.
Nicole, I'm wondering if you might come forward and say a little bit about some marketing efforts and just bring Jennifer up to speed on how, you know, the things that you've been talking about with Curtis and maybe some new things that are happening.
Hello, Nicole Burzen, PIO. So I've been talking with Curtis. I know previously we talked about the cards that we would be handing out. He has been in contact with the Chamber of Commerce and getting together little goodie bags for our mooring field boaters to hand out when they arrive. I'm not sure if he has officially, I think he got a few of them to start, and then we were gonna see how that went and go from there. But the chamber has been great with giving us those resources. We kind of figured why reinvent the wheel when they already have all of that. So the goodie bag had things specifically for boaters in there that they already had, like resources, and then it also had just things to do around town if they do come into town, like the different restaurants that are open and shops. And then on the marketing side of things, we were able to get the mooring field onto the front page of the website, so that's now a sand dollar. So when people go onto our website, they can see that right away. And then we just started an app for the town, and I've been working with them. We're gonna try to get a tab for the mooring field right on the app as well, so people would be able to go straight to the mooring field page. We can also have it take them directly to DACWA if you would prefer that, instead of taking it to the website page. So then it takes them right to the registration, just for easier access for them, whatever
Is
works
that also
better.
a place that they can go to ask for them to come in and help with waste?
So there is a tab on the app where there's like a resource directory, and it would have the mooring field's phone number on it, and they would be able to call them and like contact them with any questions that they have.
So for pump out,
Down to daily and monthly prices on,
I believe we
Yeah.
do daily.
I don't see it on the website when I click around, on our website, and when I go to DACWA, it's not giving a price, it's asking me the dates and everything, so I
Yeah.
haven't gone all the way in to do that, but.
Okay, I'll work with them on that.
DACA just
I-
says mooring is $30.
It does say on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't clicking the right thing. Another thing that, and it says $30,
It just
It
says
doesn't say
mooring
the
$30,
monthly.
but we know that it's different than that. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the other
So we'll
thing
have to
is.
get that updated then.
The other thing is, since we switched, I believe, from the daily, from daily, weekly, and monthly to daily and monthly only, there's a break-even point to get people to stay, that once they're here for 2 weeks, they're already paying for a month.
Right.
And it gives them an opportunity to go cruising for a couple days and not feel like they're paying extra rent. And Curtis isn't here, but we did have the discussion before about using the balls when people are absent during everyone was for that. I totally oppose that. I don't think if someone's renting a ball, I don't think anybody should be able to tie up to there. And some of the boaters know that you never know when you need to leave or come back. But the daily and the monthly is good. If I could find that on there somewhere on our website, it wasn't on our website.
I don't see
And
that on
DACWA
ours.
doesn't have the full rates there, but
No.
Okay.
that would be easier to find.
Yeah, I'll make sure that it's on
Go
our
ahead.
website, and then I'll get with Patty. I know she's been updating the DACWA, so I'll get with her and we can get that updated.
Thanks.
So Sam, it is fairly common if you have a full-time slip at a marina, and you're not there, marina will rent it out, and the owner gets credit, for the days it's rented out. They have to agree to do that, but but it is a way for marinas to handle more traffic.
Sort of like subletting.
Exactly, yeah,
But all the parties have to agree before you do that.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. Unless it's a mandate in the lease agreement.
Yeah, and I understand sometimes we're 105%, that's how we're 105%
Right.
full.
Yeah.
I understand it, but I still oppose it.
There was one other thing, thank you very
Yeah,
much,
of
Nicole, I
course, thank
appreciate
you.
it. About Sam being able to draft an email to boat rental companies and marinas to remind boaters to slow down in no-wake zones, is that something that you'd already done?
I'll do that during my, my staff report.
Okay.
And that's something that I'll probably go over with Curtis and Frankie before I send it out. But I did wanna do that during our member items to get some feedback.
That's all that he has for me to regurgitate to you, unless you have questions directly that I could answer or help with.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it, I'm not sure if this is something we can do, but has the town ever considered asking the boats that are in the mooring field to, if they would put boat guards, propeller guards on the boats?
I don't think that's what we've even talked about, only because you're looking at such a vast array of boats that come through. And then how to regulate that. You know, it's one thing to ask something and infer something, it's another thing to enforce and regulate. And could we even do that? We don't have the means to do any type of fining at the town level at all on anything.
Yeah, I
So,
wasn't really
yeah.
thinking about that aspect of it, but I was thinking maybe, you know, some way of promoting, educating on using boat guards, on propeller guards to.
We could definitely get that information and get that put into that packet, yes ma'am.
I would appreciate
ma'am.
that, yeah.
Unfortunately, most sailboats
Well,
that have a keel, you can't really install them, and it's not effective, cause the prop isn't, you know, hitting a man,
Right.
cause it's not
Mhm.
low like that.
It's also a big practicality issue. It is not easy to do what you're saying, and it could also be something that would steer people away from coming here as transits. So you need to double check that
how would it steer people away?
if you gotta put a temporary prop guard on your vessel to moor here, that's a big deal.
I don't think Jennifer's talking about a requirement.
Correct,
I
I'm
think
not
she's just
talking
talking
about
about
requirement,
educating.
educational,
Oh, I'm sorry.
promoting our waterways, just along this, you know, along with, boat speeds
Yeah.
and slow down, that's the sort of thing I
Okay,
was asking.
I misunderstood you,
But
and
if the,
that's a good idea.
If the intention is, hey, we don't want you to hit our wildlife, maybe we lead with that and say, look, we have manatees, and for
And to
that
show-
reason, we
Right,
need you to.
and to show that our
use it.
community cares and
Yes,
that our mooring
absolutely.
field cares about our waterways and our wildlife and,
Yeah. Here are ways that you can mitigate that risk,
correct.
yeah.
Education is always a good tool. We can also look into signage along our back bay. I know that there's a lot of signs that are missing, both from speed limit and whatnot, and that can be easily incorporated, in that. The problem with that, and I've been an advocate of that since I've gotten here, is always to make sure that you're aware of where you're at. In the mooring field, we have to pay attention to what the Army Corps of Engineers allows us to put up. Certain things is, are too much for what they're considering. So they'll allow a speed limit sign, they'll allow a no wake sign. If we could incorporate, and then again, it has to be a unified sign, a recognizable sign, so we can't come up with our own verbiage and say, oh, by the way, hey, let's keep it this way and this, and it has to be a standardized sign. So there are options, and we will definitely look into that, is making that part of our education program as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I wonder if that information couldn't be in part of our handouts and everything. In
Right.
other words, not to frighten them, you gotta do something, but
Yeah.
to encourage it through the education.
Well, and it can be exciting because, you know, while you're here, you're going to be experiencing the wildlife
The
of Fort Myers Beach, and so we need you to be a good steward.
Just as we do asking people not to use flashlights on the beach, we can,
Yeah.
you know, promote and educate
Great.
on, the things that you can do to help our wildlife and our waterways, and so.
No problem.
Any other questions for Frankie? All right,
Thank you for having
thank
me.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, it looks like, unless we have other business, this looks like we're ready for member items and reports. If we go around the room, I would like everybody to introduce themselves, say a little bit about how long you've been on the committee, what you think your superpower on the committee is, just for, Jennifer, so that we can welcome her, and then she knows everybody, if she doesn't
Jennifer.
already. Jennifer, the woman who will be known as Jennifer. And then if you have any other specific reports for the committee. Now, and if you don't wanna start, I can start with John.
I can start, but it's gonna be very brief.
Okay.
My name is Ed Schoonover. I've been on the Anchorage committee, I think, I don't think it's been quite a year yet.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if I filled in for somebody that resigned
I
or how
think- I
exactly
think
that
you
worked.
might
I don't even remember, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
I think you might have.
So my superpower is definitely not my memory. I can't think of a superpower that I have in this committee, setting that, boy, I hope we don't find one. That could be a bad thing, but, yeah. So anyway, I'm, welcome to the
Well, wait,
committee.
now wait a minute, Ed.
Oh, boy,
Could
here
you,
we go.
could you talk a little bit, you've been involved in public service in the parks, and could you talk a little bit about that? Because that's kind of germane to what we do.
Well, yeah, before, I went into the private sector, I worked in Parks and Recreation for about 40 years. So I dealt in a, municipal environment and governmental environment for a good chunk of my life, and then, I found a wife that didn't want me to work as much, so here I am. So now I have time to sit, that's my superpower, I have time to sit here. But,
I think finding a wife, seems like.
well, that was,
Yeah.
right, that was probably the hardest work I had to do, but, yeah.
And do you have anything, for this specific time that you wanna talk about?
Oh, you mean member item?
Member
I don't,
items, actual member
actually
items.
don't have anything this month. And just to back up the bus a little bit, I grew up in Minnesota, okay, so, I've lived on a lake my whole life. So I don't know a lot about ocean boating, and I don't really feel the need to get to know more about it, but I've been on a boat my whole life. So I don't know how that translates to the mooring field operation, but it relates, I guess, to this committee a little bit,
Thank you.
yes.
My name is Jennifer Rusk. I moved down here in 2011, purchased my home within 6 months in the beginning of 2012. I quickly was involved in the community with Turtle Time Inc. Became, during the Red Tide in 2017, was asked to help Crow on Sanibel, care for the sick, injured sea turtles and feeding them and getting them back to our waterways. I've rescued many birds on the island. I bring cages to the town hall, so the town staff has those. I also am the Fort Myers Beach osprey monitor during the season, so I observe and note for the International Osprey Foundation. I then became a member of MRF back in 2019. I believe I'm on my 4th term now. And I have done quite a bit for MRF in regards to promoting and educating. I've spoken to tens of thousands of visitors and residents on the island to promote a healthier environment and protecting our waterways, our marine, and our wildlife. I have been on the Anchorage committee for about an hour and 5 minutes. I'm the new kid on the block, and I look forward to learning more. I have been educating myself on this committee, and I look forward to being an asset to this committee. As for members' items and reports, It would be, let's see, the one item I had is I have been in contact with Captains for Clean Water to come and speak. And they are happy to do so. I just needed to get it scheduled. I would thought that it might give us, if you're all in agreement, if if everyone would like to have them come do a presentation, possibly that will give us some time, maybe January, February, to give us some time to come up with some questions or any information we may want to ask them for. If that's something that you guys are interested in.
I'd be
And-
interested in that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And,
If you did that, Jennifer, I'd love to have them give us an update on the reservoirs and when they're gonna start coming
That
into
was-
operation.
yes, that's that's one of the things on the list. And, yeah, I'm just excited and to be on this committee.
You heard how fun it was.
Pardon me?
You heard how much fun we have.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We're the party committee.
Yeah, the party committee. So I look forward to working with all of you and continue working with the town and the town council. And thank you.
Thank you. Ted, our senior statesman.
I'm Ted Lawwill. I arrived in 1997 by boat into Fishtail Marina. I spent approximately 30 years there, and I got blown away in Ian, and am now at Snookbite Marina. My strengths may be history when my mind can remember them. I have also spent those years in my dinghy going in and out of all the canals and area. I was very much participating in the arranging for the dredging of Big Carlos Pass. I did a bunch of surveys and stuff to help the people that were pushing it. I have a little aphasia with my young age. Anyhow, so I'm very interested in technical things like the canals and have done a bunch of surveys in them with my own boat and have that data, but can't handle it as well anymore. So I guess history would be my.
Active in Cabbage Key. I got on the Anchorage committee, been a while. When was that first party? It's probably been at least 8 or 9 years, and before Hurricane Ian, Kathy Light was the chairman. I kind of got it by default. She had to move because she lost her house, but she kind of led the gang and taught us a little bit. I would say my superpower is during the Cruisers Appreciation Day, I pulled the raffle numbers out of the hat. And I just got on this committee at the advice of former mayor and county commissioner Larry Kiker. He said, take a chill pill, get on a committee that you'll like, and I've been on it ever since.
Thank you, Sam.
Hi, John Wesley Nash. I've been on the committee for about 18 months. I hold a 50-ton Merchant Mariner's credential, better known as a captain's license. I'm a long-term boater and instructor, over 30 years, mostly on Chesapeake Bay. My wife and I moved here about 3 years ago. We're very active as volunteers, Turtle Time, Crow, Women's Club, various organizations. I'm a board member of Folk, and I retired from the TV industry after 48 years, 2018. And I have no comments for
You
you.
have no comments?
No, ma'am.
All right. I'm Chris Riddle King. My husband and I bought our place in November of 2020, and we actually closed on our condo 4 years ago on this date. Pretty exciting. Moved here full-time April of 21. Let's see. my background is in marketing. I worked at a radio station and I ran events and I was also a promotions director. Then I worked at the Des Moines Register for 12 years and ran some promotions and did copywriting. And I have been with the Principal Financial Group for the past 24 years, working on sponsorships. I managed our sponsorship program for 17 years, and I have been onboarding digital marketing technology, super fun it sounds like it is, for the past 4 years or so. So my superpower really is creating order out of chaos. That's what my boss always tells me. So I love facilitating things, I love running things, so I appreciate the opportunity to chair this committee. I am certainly, as you see, I have not really talked about boats. I like boats, I like being on a boat. I do not know how to captain a boat, but I am very excited to learn from all of you about boating, and I'm very involved in the island. Care a lot about the community. I wanna make sure that this is a great place for everybody to live and work and enjoy, and to welcome people who are coming in from other places, whether they come by boat, whether they come by car. But as your chair, I will promise you that I will make sure that everybody has their voices heard. I will try to facilitate an efficient meeting, and I will try to keep us on track so that we can support the town as the advisory committee that they're setting us up to be, so that we can achieve outcomes together. So, thank you. All right, anything else? Before I turn it
member
over to
items?
public. No, that was member items. Do you have member items?
I do have one.
Okay, all right, Sam.
So, I did give a brief, like summary of what our committee does at the last, I guess the November 4th town council meeting. Just wanted to do it one time cause Kathy Light, she did it about every month. So, it doesn't need to be done every month, but just a summary. I don't see it on here, but we'll put it on the next meeting agenda, the Cruisers Appreciation Day. I wanted to talk about that, and see if we wanted to start. I did mention during that presentation to Town Hall that we would probably, generally we wait until after Easter, when, as close to after Easter as we can. We have it on a Saturday, when the traffic's gone, but most of the boaters are still here. We have been having it under the bridge. We'll see what we can do for a location. And we've had it at Matanzas before. If they're open and running, we may want to consider them. So maybe we'll put it back on the agenda next time and do it, and have it next, so we can have it. We haven't had it for the last few years, so that would be nice to have.
Can you give us a little context about what the heck
Yes, so
Cruisers Appreciation Day
Cruisers
is?
Appreciation Day
Who owns
is-
it, why it exists?
Here is the Cruisers Appreciation Day, and it's for the general public, it's for the mooring field patrons. We give all the mooring field patrons a free lunch and a free drink coupon. And last time we had a food truck. Before that, we had Matanzas providing the foods, and there's food and drinks for purchase available. We usually give all the patrons a free gift. We were giving them floating keychains, and maybe we'll think of something to give them this year.
Is it sanctioned by
That's
the town? How did it come about? Where did this come from?
It came from our committee, and it's usually self-supporting, although we generally had a few $100s in our budget just for the advertising in case we got rained out, that we could still pay our bills for it, but it usually makes a little bit of money. We have a raffle, we go around. It's gonna be a little more difficult this year. We went around to all the merchants and had them contribute, and our last Cruisers Appreciation Day, we had a weekend trip from Key West Express. We had, Diamond had and Pink Shell both gave us nights at their hotels. Matanzas gave us a night at a hotel, at their hotel to give away. Went to all the restaurants, and what we do is, those are donations, we raffle those off, and the winners get the prize, and we get to keep the money.
Okay.
And that helps support the thing. And here's a flyer from the last Cruisers Appreciation Day, and I guess that is my superpower, is trying to plan Cruisers Appreciation Day. So I generally do the press releases for it. And
guess, Mayor, do you have any concerns about Cruisers Appreciation Day? I have no background on it, and so I mean, is that something that we need to get approval to do, or?
Well, I have to say, I have to confess, I took this position over when Rexanne Hassafras retired from the council. So I've been here for a little over 2 years, but with COVID and all the other adventures we've had on this island, I'm sorry, 4 years I've been on this committee. With all those adventures, we've not had it since I've been on the committee. So I don't know. Doesn't seems like a wonderful idea. So I would yield to Sam and anyone else who's been on the committee, and seems like a nice gesture and good way to draw attention to our facility. And
They're a lot of fun. Murph was invited to actually be involved with it as,
Yep,
one
and
year
set up a
too.
tent.
Yeah.
Yep, we had,
And it was a lot of
Turtle
fun.
Time had a tent.
It seems
and-
like something that could be very collaborative. We just need to put together, you know, a proposal, and here's who's gonna do what and how everything needs to work. So maybe we can get into more detail next time,
Yeah,
Sam?
let's put on next time's agenda, and I'll prepare a little outline of what I think we need to do to get it ready. And we do have plenty of time, but we will have to pick a location. And depending on where we have it, we may or may not need a permit. When we had it under the bridge, I believe we did not need a permit, but when we had it at Matanzas parking lot, we did need a permit. So we'll check with the town and see what we need. We have plenty of time to get that going.
Could it be a Bayside Park, or does it need to be totally adjacent to the water?
Definitely be at Bayside Park. That would be.
So I just might pop
That-
in here, Madam
Yeah.
Chair. Any type of event that you're going to
Yes,
have
we need
would
a permit.
require a special events permit,
Right.
right?
And that needs to come
Regardless
in-
if, as long as it's on town property, town proper, we're going to need a special events, and that's really no big deal. We just set you up with Tracy Rasky, who's our special events coordinator, and she can get all that worked out for you when the time comes.
And just give you enough time so you can get the approval by the fire department and
Yes, and
whoever
those
else
are
needs
things
to
that
sign
you
off.
would do as the event organizer.
Right.
You would reach out to the sheriff's department
Yep.
and the fire department on your own, and then we would handle all the stuff on the town side.
Sounds good.
but is it officially I mean, I guess rhetorically, it sounds like it's sort of officially a town function, right?
Yeah,
It is a town
I think it
function.
Yeah.
is. I lost all my files. I had a whole big file on it.
Yeah.
With all the old permits and information,
Well,
but
we still go through a lot of the same steps.
No, I got you,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
just for the record, I think that is
It
a
is a
town,
town
yeah.
It's a town function, but depending on where it's located,
Yep,
that
yep.
would be a different sort of permit
Bayside
process.
sounds like the best option. Everyone can get
Sure.
there. The dinghy dock is right there.
Good visibility.
Are we still on
Anything
members
else?
items?
I still
I
have
do,
some- okay.
yep. Let me do my main member item. I'm gonna, get with Curtis before I send this out, but I volunteered to send an email to all the marinas and boat rental companies, cause I really didn't think it should come from Curtis. I don't want people giving him a hard time, but, I wanna make sure that these marinas and these boat rental companies know that there is no wake zone, and this is just a general idea. I'll run this by Curtis and maybe even everybody else. Actually, we won't have a meeting before I get this. I wanna get this out before Christmas, before the holidays, with all these rental boats, but, in general, it's gonna say, the entire mooring field in Matanzas Pass from Pink Shell to Hurricane Bay is a no-wake zone. Mooring field patrons are susceptible to wakes, as many are boarding dinghies, cooking, and doing other onboard activities. Please inform your marina and rental boat operators regarding safe, speed and the no-wake zone. And I'll ask them to do this during their briefing. And I did have a couple, I'm just trying to watch when I'm out on the boat, watching which rental companies I see. There's Sun and Fun, Salty Sam's, Snook Bite, Moss Marina Fishtail, Freedom Boat Club, Gulf Star, Bonita Boat Rentals, Pink Shell for their marina. And I guess if I can think of any other marinas, that's who I will email them to. And
Is this coming from the committee?
it's coming from me personally as the vice chairman of the committee.
So basically from the committee.
It's basically coming
From
from,
the committee.
yes, it's
Yes.
coming from me as the
I believe
commi-
we'll need
yeah.
to take a vote on this because,
I thought we did.
oh, you did already.
Did we
I
take?
think we voted
I
last
think we
time,
voted
but-
for me to send, to send a letter out, but we can vote again. And I just wanna put the caveat that I will get this totally approved by Curtis
Right.
before I send it out. That way, he's aware of exactly, he can tweak it if he needs to.
Is there a way that the other members would be able to get that letter prior to it being sent out?
I could send it to Amy.
Or
for-
Patty, or she could
Patty,
send it out to it,
And
everybody could see it. Do you have some concerns with that approach, Jennifer?
No, not at all. It's just, procedural.
Okay, just like to have.
And I'd like to have some input. I should have had it ready for this meeting, so you could have put input, but I do wanna get it out before Christmas, and that way that all these, all the rental companies and
So
everything.
this would be in letter form?
It'd be an email.
Yeah.
An email,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So what if, Sam, you provided that information to Patty or Amy or Curtis or whoever and asked them to send it to us? We can send back any tweaks or suggestions we would have, then you can get it finally approved by Curtis.
With Curtis, with all the improvements and on there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds like a-
And the additional marinas or rental companies
Yeah,
that should
yeah.
be included.
I move that we encourage this effort and have it directed by our vice chairman, and that we approve this letter.
Motion by Ted,
I would-
seconded by Sam.
I would actually like to see the letter before I approve it.
Well,
Can we say that we approve the approach?
The approach
we-
to the letter.
All right, so amended,
amendment accepted.
okay, all right. So the approach is good. Next step, Sam is going to draft something, get it to the town to send out to all of us. We will send in our thoughts and suggestions. He'll get it vetted by Curtis, and it'll go out.
And I have no doubt, I'm sure it'll be a wonderful letter. I'm just
Yes, absolutely.
procedural.
Oh, good, I
Yeah.
appreciate the input.
Yeah.
Anything else for member reports? Anyone else, member reports?
Can I say something, Madam Chair?
You sure can.
So, just a quick reminder, since it's right around the corner, the meeting for May 26th of 2025 is going to have to be moved to May 27th of 2026, only because May
2025.
26th is Memorial Day.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you
I'm
repeat
sorry,
that?
2025, yes.
Yeah,
So,
I wanted to
getting ahead of myself.
ask, so our meetings had been moved to be the fourth Monday of the month at 9 AM. Does that still work for everyone? Does that work for you, Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that still work for everybody else?
Did you say the fourth meeting of every
The
month?
fourth Monday.
Fourth
No,
Monday. Does
right.
that hit the council?
You're first and third.
First and third, that's right. You're right. Thank you, Chris.
He's trying to find a way out.
No, that is not true. Not true.
But no,
Just
so-
for the record.
Yes,
So our
yeah.
next meeting would be December, except we're gonna have to move that one, cause I think that's,
It would be the
I
That's
don't
the
know when the next
23rd?
one is coming up in December, but, our town clerk had passed me this information, I
Okay.
promised her I would get that to you, so it's 2025. I
yes,
stand
May
corrected.
27th, 2025.
That will be your next, your meeting in May, because the 26th is Memorial Day.
Boy, that's out there. It looks like the town changed it to the 30th, just, it's
Okay.
on our agenda,
Okay,
because otherwise it would fall on the
okay,
23rd.
perfect.
and
So
then-
it's the 30th?
Yes,
That's-
December 30th.
So,
December 30th.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
and that's at 9 o'clock on the 30th of December.
Correct. I will be calling in, if that is okay, and I don't know if we can make if everybody can approve my calling in, but I will be on the island of Maui, and I will be calling in at 4 o'clock in the morning,
morning.
so,
Do you wanna make a motion for that now, so we can,
can you so move it?
Yeah.
Because I shouldn't move my own motion.
so moved.
What's the motion, just to allow you to call in?
Yes.
Yeah. 'cause
Yeah, and then we have to do it again at that meeting then?
I don't know, Jim, do we have to do it?
No,
that
I
day?
don't think that's necessary, yeah.
Well, John was the expert, and he's gonna be
Yeah.
with her.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, perfect. All right, public comments?
I'm not a member, but I had one just additional
Yes.
item, just for the good of the order. Ted, you were at Fishtail, everybody's kind of conversing with that area, and Frankie, maybe you've heard. I've just have heard a lot of questions, have a lot of constituent questions about Fishtail Marina. Are they reinvesting? What's going on over there? Does anybody have any kind of an update that they would feel comfortable sharing?
It is my understanding that they have sold twice. The investment group is intending to refurnish the marina in good style. They have not gotten engineering plans completed. They are operating now, but on a shoestring and so forth. They have every intention of becoming a high-class marina. Timing of Santini Plaza, as you know, has also been clobbered, but it's about to come back. So I have good faith that Fishdale will be back, but it may take it a couple of years.
That's the first I've heard that. Thank you, Ted, for sharing that. Very helpful, yep. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, anything else? All right, if we talk about next meeting's agenda, I feel like what we had here, taking off reorganization of committee, and then, after staff report, adding a couple of items, discussion of Cruisers Appreciation Day. Sam will bring us some sort of proposal to look at, just an outline of.
You know, that's not a bad idea. Maybe have them come in a joint meeting,
Right,
so then
exactly. A
they're not
separate joint
coming to
meeting, right.
two different
Yeah.
meetings. So that's actually a really good idea.
Okay, well,
So I'll address
something to
that.
consider.
Yeah.
Okay. Those would be my two additional agenda items that I can think of. Anything else people wanna add?
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate you, Chris, on the chairmanship and the fact that you have a secret weapon. Well, he's not much of a secret because he's 6'6" tall, but the fact that 6'8", but the fact that you have no sunshine regulations with John I think is a nice addition, and looking forward to it.
Thank you. I will just add follow-ups for Curtis. Next time would be some sort of an overview of where we've been with the canals and where we're going, some of our challenges. Rendering of the dinghy dock, we were interested in seeing that. Making sure that our prices are on DOCWA and our website, and then considering how we do more education about wildlife protection as part of the goodie bags and other information that we're putting together for boaters.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I don't wanna make Curtis's, presentation for him, but, I'd like an update from where he is at with the Coast Guard with balls 5 through 9. That's been kind of ongoing since Ian, I believe.
And it does sound like you have a plan B, Frankie, that, you know, if we can't get the bigger boats on those balls because of the swing radius, do we just make some other adjustments and move them to places where we can place them, but.
And we've had those discussions internally and also with the Coast Guard, so yes, we're currently going on, he can definitely bring you up to speed.
Anything else?
No,
Sam.
you said dredging, right? You said the canals.
I did, yes,
So-
yep, I said.
I could hear about dredging all day and probably still not get enough, but, yeah.
Yeah, I think having that overview that helps us level set our understanding of what has happened historically and what, you know, what we're facing now and the decisions we have to make to move forward would be great.
Sam Lurie, I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?